What if one moment of unchecked neglect could conceal a tragedy so profound that it unearths decades-old secrets? On an otherwise ordinary evening, an unexpected silence began to unravel a story of unimaginable neglect. A silence so deep that it swallowed the cries of a vulnerable toddler. In that moment, a seemingly routine family home transformed into the starting point of a mystery that would shake the very foundations of trust and protection. What was once considered a minor oversight soon revealed layers of forgotten truths, slowly emerging from the shadows of time. Could this quiet, unassuming night be masking a dark truth that was waiting to be unearthed all along?
Welcome to Crime Bite.
In this channel, we peel back the layers of those hidden realities, raw evidence, conflicting testimonies, and emotional pleas for help that too often come too late. By looking into these crime bites, you'll see firsthand how broken trust, systemic oversights, and chilling motives can converge into stories that rattle us to the core. If you find this exploration as vital as we do, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notifications button. Together, we can shine a light on the cases that demand attention, ensuring every voice, especially the silenced, finds the audience it deserves. On a crisp autumn evening in 2020, when the normally bustling streets of a quiet UK town were slowly dimming into night, an unspeakable tragedy unfolded. In a modest family home, where laughter and bedtime lullabies once filled the air, a 911 call shattered the calm. A distressed voice reported that little Star Hobson, barely 16 months old, was unresponsive. Emergency services, already on edge from a busy day, rushed to the scene only to find a sight too harrowing to comprehend. In the doorway of a softly lit living room, Star's small body lay in a state that defied all parental care. A body that bore the cruel marks of prolonged abuse. That night, the promise of a loving home was shattered, replaced by a silence heavy with guilt and unanswered questions. How could such darkness have infiltrated an environment once filled with hope and innocent dreams? The early moments of that night set in motion a cascade of investigations that would peel back decades of neglect and expose a profound failure of protection. Could one fateful night hold enough secrets to forever change our understanding of trust in those sworn to protect the vulnerable? Before the tragedy, Star Hobson was the picture of childhood innocence. Family albums captured her wide, curious eyes and radiant smile as she explored her world. Whether she was playing with soft toys or toddling around her nursery, her joy was unmistakable. Neighbors recalled her giggles as she toddled past flower beds, and relatives remembered her fascination with brightly colored picture books. In every picture, she symbolized the hope and promise inherent in a young life. Yet, hidden beneath that cheerful exterior were subtle hints of a darker reality. Observant family members noted slight bruises on her delicate arms and unexplained marks on her skin. These small signs were easy to dismiss amid the joyful chaos of childhood. But as the investigation later revealed, these were not merely the mishaps of a playful toddler. Each mark told a story of sustained neglect and cruelty. How can the radiant innocence of a child mask the hidden scars of prolonged abuse that no one ever expected to find? Behind the closed doors of Star's home, the fabric of familial trust had slowly unraveled. In the years leading up to that fateful night, whispers of concern had circulated among relatives and neighbors. The family, outwardly a picture of stability, concealed deep fractures. What had been seen as everyday parental shortcomings gradually revealed disturbing inconsistencies. In particular, the role of the mother's partner came under scrutiny. A man whose presence, initially welcomed as a supportive addition, grew more menacing with each passing day. Eyewitnesses recalled minor incidents, a harsh tone in private, a child's fearful glance, and these now painted a picture contrary to the loving home many believed existed. Slowly, these murmurs built into an unsettling narrative that the trusted figures meant to nurture and protect might have played a part in masking a terrible secret. Families who once offered silent support now began to question everything they thought they knew about the ones closest to them. Can a family's public face of unity conceal the dark undercurrents of betrayal that, when unraveled, reveal a truth too disturbing to ignore? Over time, the signs of abuse that had long been dismissed as mere accidents began to multiply. Neighbors started to recall late-night arguments, the subdued sound of a child crying, and instances where Star's innocent laughter was replaced by moments of unspoken terror. Despite these warning signals, the community's deep trust in one another led many to remain silent. They assumed that a close-knit family could weather its internal storms without external intervention. In retrospect, every seemingly minor incident was a cry for help, a pattern of neglect that, when viewed collectively, pointed to a tragedy far greater than anyone could imagine. The failure of local authorities and child protection services to act decisively in the face of these persistent red flags laid a heavy burden on the community. This tragic inaction would soon be scrutinized, as the chilling truth behind Star's disappearance emerged. How many small, silent warnings must go unheeded before the truth of a hidden tragedy can no longer be ignored? It was on that fateful evening in 2020 that the unthinkable was finally discovered. After 10 agonizing days of silence, emergency services arrived to a scene that defied all prior assumptions. Paramedics, their faces etched with grim determination, found Star Hobson's lifeless body in a state of severe dehydration and malnourishment. The once joyful toddler was now a stark symbol of neglect, a victim of an environment where she was repeatedly failed by those meant to protect her. The discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. Detailed forensic reports confirmed that the injuries were not the result of an isolated accident, but a pattern of sustained abuse. With each meticulous step, the narrative transformed, from a tragic mishap to a chilling account of prolonged neglect and betrayal. The stark reality that a 16-month-old had been left entirely unattended for 10 days left no doubt. This was a systemic failure that demanded accountability. When the truth is finally unearthed from the depths of neglect, how can we reconcile the evidence with the image of a family once believed to be whole? The path to uncovering every horrifying detail of Star Hobson's case was long and treacherous. Investigators combed through archives, re-interviewed reluctant witnesses, and utilized modern forensic techniques to re-examine decades-old evidence. The renewed scrutiny revealed not only the depth of the neglect, but also hinted at a web of miscommunication and apathy by those charged with protecting the child. The investigation painted a comprehensive picture. A series of missed opportunities and negligent decisions spanned 10 long days, culminating in a scenario where no one intervened. Interviews with family members and neighbors unveiled layers of secrecy and muted horror. The re-examination of digital records and surveillance footage further challenged the initial verdict, leaving investigators to wonder if the neglect was an isolated lapse or part of a more systematic breakdown of care. Could an exhaustive investigation into every neglected detail finally unravel the truth behind a tragedy that was allowed to fester in silence for far too long? As the weight of new evidence gathered momentum, the case transitioned from a cold investigation to a fiery legal battle. Prosecutors took center stage, armed with reinterpreted forensic data, fresh witness testimonies, and modern digital records that challenged the original assumption of an accident. The courtroom quickly became a battleground where the past and the present collided. Every piece of evidence was scrutinized, every testimony re-evaluated, and every missed warning questioned. In this legal arena, the narrative of negligence was dismantled piece by piece. The prosecution argued forcefully that the systematic failure to protect Star was not simply an accident, but a tragedy born of deliberate neglect by those entrusted with her care. The defense struggled to maintain the long-held belief in accidental misfortune against overwhelming modern evidence. The legal storm was as much about unearthing painful truths as it was about ensuring accountability for actions that had irreversibly altered a family's destiny. In a courtroom where every word and every piece of evidence carries the weight of justice, can the truth behind decades of negligence finally be brought to light? After months of relentless legal battles and emotional testimony, the jury delivered a verdict that shook the nation. The courtroom fell into a profound silence as the verdict was announced. A verdict that condemned the mother for severe neglect leading to death, marking a milestone in a case once considered unsolvable. The decision not only validated the painful journey of investigation, but also ignited a wave of public discourse on systemic failures in child protection. For many in the community, the verdict was a bittersweet moment. a measure of long-delayed justice that still could not restore the precious life lost. In the wake of the decision, public outcry transformed into calls for systemic reform. Legislators and advocacy groups took note, launching initiatives aimed at overhauling the standards for child protection and ensuring that such failures would never repeat. In a moment when the scales of justice have finally tipped, does the verdict truly heal the deep scars of a tragedy, or does it serve as a stark reminder of all that was lost? In the profound silence that followed the courtroom's decision, a movement began to stir within the community and across the nation. Families, activists, and child protection advocates united to demand that measures be taken so that no other child would suffer a similar fate. Public meetings, media interviews, and community rallies emerged as voices rose in unison against systemic negligence. The tragic death of Star Hobson became a symbol, a rallying cry that ignited debates about the responsibilities of caregivers, law enforcement, and child protection services. This movement not only called for justice in Star's name, but also for an overhaul of policies that had once allowed such tragedies to remain hidden. The case spurred legislative proposals, funding for forensic research, and a renewed commitment from social services to act decisively. Every shared story and every protest became a step toward ensuring that the system would never again allow a child's silent suffering to go unnoticed. Can a community's united voice pave the way for a future where every child is protected? Or will the echoes of neglect continue to haunt our institutions? In the quiet aftermath of a long-fought battle for justice, the story of Star Hobson now stands as a testament to the enduring power of truth and accountability. Her tragic death, a consequence of 10 days of unrelenting neglect, has become a powerful reminder that every voice, no matter how small, deserves to be heard. The lessons learned from this case extend far beyond one family's sorrow. They resonate as an urgent call for vigilance and systemic change. As we reflect on the cascading events that led to this day, we are reminded that the protection of vulnerable lives demands continuous attention and decisive action. It is our shared duty to ensure that every whisper of distress is met with a resounding call for help. Let Star's story propel us into action, a catalyst for reform that transforms tragedy into a future of safeguarding every child. Before you go, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notifications button so that you remain updated on the latest investigations and transformative reforms. Your support is essential in spreading awareness and ensuring that no silent cry for help is ever ignored again. Will you join us in this crusade for change, ensuring that every neglected whisper of pain transforms into a promise of protection for our future?